What if I told you that Jason, the 14-year-old anime fan that you've been chatting with online, is actually an AI-powered police surveillance tool? Police departments are spending hundreds of thousands on Overwatch, which is a project to create detailed AI personas specifically designed to monitor college protesters and rioters and political activists, not just criminals. By the end of this video, you're going to discover the shocking truth about how these digital undercover agents can even generate fake proof-of-life photos to convince you that they're real humans. And if you stick around till the end, I'll tell you my own personal contact with a major political assassination in the Middle East, peripheral though it may be, and what that tells us about how these avatars could be misused. I'm Evan Goldstein. I'm a licensed professional engineer and a data scientist. I'm building AI capitalists to talk to the leaders and the thinkers, like you, about navigating this brave new world of thinking machines. So this story is coming to us from Wired magazine, who investigated. Now, the New York-based tech company called Massive Blue has developed Overwatch, which is an AI surveillance tool and being purchased by police departments along the US-Mexico border. The system creates lifelike virtual personas, which are designed to interact with suspicious criminals or suspected criminals and gather intelligence online. But it also targets college protesters, rioters, and political activists. Internal documents and contracts showed that Pinal County, Arizona, or Pinal County, forgive the pronunciation, has invested about $360,000 in this technology, and it's funded through an anti-human trafficking grant. They've purchased development, deployment, monitoring, and reporting on a virtual task force of up to 50 AI personas across 3 investigative categories. So these are like AI avatars, fake people, and I made a story about this, how Meta was making its own fake personas for people who can't find real friends. And these fake personas then interact online, friend, and tell you about their trips to the movie, whatever. The difference is, in this case, they're not telling you that it's fake. Whereas Meta, at least they admitted, hey, these are AI friends if you can't make real friends. So Yuma County spent $10,000 on a trial, but it didn't renew the trial, stating that the technology did not meet their needs. The AI personas range widely in their targets. So according to presentations that have been obtained through public records requests, they included a radicalized protest persona, which is a 30-year-old divorced woman interested in activism, a honeypot AI persona, which is a 25-year-old Arab American from Michigan, and a child trafficking AI persona, which is a 14-year-old boy who likes anime. And personas were specifically designed as college protesters as well. Each of these came with detailed backstories, AI-generated images, and scripted communication styles. Massive Blue claims that Overwatch can scan social media for potential suspects, communicate with them across many different platforms, including Discord and SMSs, and even generate fake proof-of-life images showing a person holding up a sign with dates and usernames written on it. But the company hasn't disclosed how it determines who constitutes a suspect based on social media activity. Despite significant investment, the technology has yielded no arrests, according to Pinal County Sheriff's Office. When questioned at public appropriations hearings, the officials refused to provide details about how the system works, citing trade secrets and concerns about tipping their hand to the bad guys. Civil liberties experts have raised alarms about the technology. Dave Mass from the Electronic Frontier Foundation questioned the legitimacy of targeting constitutionally protected activities. What problem are they actually trying to solve, he asked. Now, one version of the AI persona is an escort. I'm not concerned about escorts. I'm not concerned about college protesters, he said. The timing has raised additional concerns given that the Trump administration is revoking visas for hundreds of students who participated in protests in support of US-registered terrorist organizations. Critics worry that tools like Overwatch could become mechanisms for political suppression. So in one presentation, Massive Blue claimed that its system had identified 3,266 unique human traffickers during just 24 hours of scanning activity across Dallas, Houston, and Austin. But there's no verification of whether these accounts were actually engaged in criminal activity. When they were pressed for specifics in interviews and at public meetings, Massive Blue representatives have been notably vague. On a podcast, the company's executive director described it as a cyberwall, but he declined to explain how it functions. He said he's not going to get into it too much. Despite the initial reluctance and questions from county supervisors about the lack of proven results, Pinal County ultimately approved the contract, citing human trafficking prevention as a noble goal. The contract is active, and officials acknowledge that investigations using the technology are still ongoing, and there have been no arrests made to date. So what's the buzz about this on social media? American police departments are dropping hundreds of thousands of dollars on a secretive AI system, but surveillance hawks are cheering this as a brilliant crime-fighting innovation, and privacy advocates are sounding every alarm bell they can find. One fascinating element about this is how the news broke right as Elon Musk's platform, X, or what everybody else calls Twitter, was already under fire for being overrun with bots. As one Redditor pointed out, replies are so full with bots now it's unbearable. Every tweet with a relatively large interaction is now flooded with verified bots. Imagine the irony of cops deploying AI bots to catch criminals on a platform already criticized for being more bot than human. I wonder how many of these suspects that they found, this 2,000 whatever that they claim to have identified in human trafficking, were bots themselves. Right? Now, when Wired posted the article, it generated a lot of responses and retweets, and one particularly viral thread highlighted how, besides scanning social media and engaging suspects with AI personas, the presentation says that Overwatch can use the AI to create proof-of-life images. Yeah, so the technology can generate fake photos of showing a person holding a sign with a specific text, fabricating evidence of a human interaction. Now, Reddit's deep dive, the communities there went into detective mode. In the Skeptic subforum, users dissected the technology's applications, with one commenter noting that political protesters, aka American citizens exercising their explicit constitutional rights, were the ones being threatened. And the thread devolved into users deliberately posting nonsensical phrases like glucose chandelier if sofa are quartz to potentially poison any surveilling AI systems. On the protest subforum, discussion centered around the targeting of college activists, especially those protesting on the behalf of terror organizations. This connection wasn't coincidental. The search results specifically mentioned the Trump administration revoking visas of students who participated in those protests. The YouTube breakdown, Taylor Lorenz dropped a comprehensive video explaining how these AI personas work, interviewing 404 Media's Jason Kobler, who broke the original story. The comment section exploded with digital privacy advocates offering tips on identifying potential AI personas and expressing outrage at what many people see as constitutional or unconstitutional overreach. Now, one recurring theme in the comments is that if they're using AI to spy on us, we should use AI to identify their AI. The irony of fighting algorithms with algorithms wasn't lost on viewers. Meanwhile, confusion reigned as gaming content creators like Rover Z, who had posted previous videos about AI creating Overwatch heroes, found their content suddenly gaining traction from people searching for information about the surveillance program rather than the video game. Even on the buttoned-up platform LinkedIn, debate raged beneath a thin veneer of professionalism. One viral post from Inland Empire AI put it bluntly that Massive Blue's Overwatch AI is turning cops into digital puppeteers. Comments underneath reveal the tension between tech professionals, some are expressing pride in advancing AI capabilities for law enforcement, versus others questioning the ethics of their industry's creations. So let's get real about what this means. Imagine you're at a college protest, you're going to tweet about it, and then Jason, a shy 14-year-old who loves anime, slides into your DMs. You chat a bit, maybe vent about the protest, and boom, that conversation is now in a police database. Or perhaps you're an immigrant who mentions politics to what seems like a friendly mutual discord. Before you know it, your offhand comment becomes grounds for deportation. The scariest part is the complete lack of transparency. So it sort of comes like Minority Report without the psychics. Digital surveillance disguised as digital public safety. And it's all funded by the tax dollars. So with all that, what's the AI capitalist approach? Massive Blue Overwatch system is exactly what happens when technology outpaces ethical frameworks. So we're seeing police departments spending hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars on AI-powered social media bots designed to impersonate everyone from college protesters to fictitious children. And for what? 0 arrests. Not a single one. That's the issue. You can put people on a list. You can try to find out who's who, but you run into problems with the idea of fruit of a poison tree. So let's say that this reveals something about or causes you to suspect, or the police to suspect, a certain individual. They then follow that individual, and then they find that person is committing a crime. But the way that they gather the evidence using these fake bots could be considered almost entrapment, especially if it got you to say something, or it got the individual to say something potentially criminal. And then this leads to the question, would this be fruit of a poison tree? Are we, because the information was obtained unethically, would a court even allow it to be used? And therefore anything that follows from that, if they did catch someone human trafficking, would that person then be let go because the only path that led the police to that person was this bot, this AI surveillance tool? For me, this brings up the idea of the agent provocateur. The idea behind an agent provocateur is when the side, usually the side in authority that is doing the surveillance, wants to discredit the other side, radical side. So they will often, and this goes back to the French Revolution, they'll send agents in to pretend to be radicals or part of whatever faction they're trying to set up. That individual then gets everybody in that faction fired up to try to go do something that they wouldn't ordinarily do or become more radical. And then that's used to discredit them in the eyes of the public. They can say, hey, look, these guys aren't just protesting for, say, higher minimum wage. They want to overthrow the government and set up a Marxist economy. So what happens then? They can then go in and arrest those people, and there's no public protest about it. But this often backfires. So my own experience with an agent provocateur, well, I was never an agent provocateur. I did study in yeshiva in the Holy Land for a while, and there were plenty of people were known by the other students to have been sent by the government, because the government there surveils everybody, especially on the right. But one thing that happened there in the 1990s, around 1995, I think it was that the prime minister was actually assassinated. And when the assassin was found, he was part of an extreme group, and he had been saying that he was going to do this thing. And they found his whole circle of friends, and the press started researching it. And there's one guy in there who was sitting next to him. So sitting next to the assassin, Yigal Amir, was a guy named Avishai Raviv, who was also known as like a hothead to the police. But further investigation revealed that he was in fact a plant by the Internal Security Services, the Shabak, their version of the FBI there. So this is just the sort of thing that conspiracy theorists live for. Here you've got a government official sitting right next to the guy who carried out this terrible act. Now, years later, about 7 years later, I was living in Beersheba in the south of the country, and I had a roommate, and my roommate happened to work for the prison service. And the prison service there, in Beersheba, the jail there, that is where Yigal Amir was held. And it turns out my roommate actually knew the assassin pretty well. So I talked to him about it, and I was like, what do you know about this guy? What's he like? And he told me he's the nicest guy in the world. Always polite. He never throws a tantrum, not like the other prisoners. He's a total mensch. He just happens that he's also a killer. It leads to the question, when they send these hotheads in, to these agent provocateurs in, it can backfire. They're trying to discredit this group, but they may have gotten this Yigal Amir individual so fired up that he went out and he actually did the deed. It also discredits the law enforcement agencies, because now you've got this agent provocateur who people in that group can blame, saying, oh, you see, they really are after us. They're trying to frame us, and they sent this guy. It had nothing to do with us. It was just this guy they sent in who orchestrated this whole thing. So what concerns me about using AI for this tool as a law enforcement tool in this way, aside from the fruit of the poison tree that I mentioned before, what if it gets someone fired up to do something really heinous? I mean, we're already talking about people who exist on the edge of the law, on the edge of civilization. What happens when one of them takes deadly action? They can then point back to this AI that was getting them fired up and say, hey, it's not my fault. This is entrapment. They pushed me to do something I wouldn't ordinarily do. And we've seen that AI is very difficult to control. So it's not like you can, with a human agent provocateur, you could give him a line. You could say this far and no further. With the AI, It has the ability to rewrite its optimization function. It's going to try to please these people in order to ingratiate itself. Now you've got reinforcement learning going on, human-based reinforcement learning, which is going to push it to change its optimization function and change its behaviors. So this really does open up a can of worms. I mean, we're creating fake people with backstories, personalities, and AI-generated faces who can produce proof-of-life images. It's digital gaslighting on an institutional scale where the line between authentic human interaction and algorithmic manipulation is dissolved completely. How can we evaluate the truth claims that this technology even makes? When Massive Blue claims that they identified 3,266 unique human traffickers in 24 hours across 3 Texas cities, what methodology validates this? It's like your fitness app claiming that you burned 800 calories sitting on the couch. Sounds impressive, but it's completely unverifiable. The system operates as a black box, with officials refusing to explain even basic functionality in public meetings, hiding behind the convenient shield of trade secrets. These systems are targeting not just serious criminals, but vaguely defined radicalized political activists and college protesters. And the question is, what do we hope to gain from this? So you have a list of these college protesters, the ones who are doing illegal things. Maybe it can help you track them down, but so far no arrests have been made. Now, from a social political standpoint, this represents a profound power imbalance. Government agencies are deploying deceptive AI personas against citizens with no judicial oversight, no clear guidelines on what constitutes suspicious behavior, and no transparency about how targets are selected. It's the technological manifestation of hierarchical control, where law enforcement gains powerful new tools, but the citizens are stripped of their ability to know if they're interacting with a real person or a government surveillance software. So, what's your take? Do you think that these AI avatars are dangerous tools to enforce the hierarchy? Or maybe they're necessary to maintain control of and monitor subversive communist degenerates? Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Unless, of course, you're an AI agent provocateur.